Morning, everybody. It's great to see you again. Look, I've invited Linda from the Growth Garden to jump online with me just to have a chat about bulk sales of books. I saw a post during the week from a fellow in the States, and I'll get his name, Corey Kirby, talking about bulk sales. And Linda and I sort of had a quick chat about that and thought, well, why not have this make it a public chat. So I'm Bev Ryan. My business is Smart Women Publish. So I work with nonfiction authors, helping them plan, write, and publish their books. And some of my clients have also worked with Linda in the marketing capacity. So, Linda, could you just tell us a bit more about what you do?
I certainly can. Thanks, Bev. My name is Linda Johannesson, and I'm a founder of a company called the Growth Garden. And in its simplest terms, I help service businesses to grow. And whether that growth is expanding a suite of services, getting new clients, or identifying new opportunities, or launching a book that helps them to grow their business, I create the growth plans, strategies, and help them implement it to get success, whether it's from the book or from the strategy or for the business or for their profile.
Fantastic. So, I've been really delighted to refer some authors to you where I felt that they were willing to look at the concept of investing in their marketing as well as the publishing of the book, and they've had some really great results. So, um, just to sort of base our conversation on some interesting facts, I came across a survey which was done last year. It's called the Business Book ROI, as in Return on Investment Study, and I'll put this video up on YouTube, and I'll put some of the links below this video
Yeah.
on YouTube so people can find these things. So really, it was a small study, and it was about 300 people, I think, but the people who were surveyed were all business owner authors, and they're the clients that I have. They're the clients that Linda has, and they had published either traditionally or self-published or had gone down the hybrid path. And the survey was really to find out, was it worth it? What was their return on investment for their books? So it was really, really interesting information in there. Um, the part that jumped out at me was the fact that the return on investment is not necessarily sales of books, although obviously that's a wonderful thing to happen, but um, there's a lot of other benefits of publishing a book. The one that we want to sort of dive into a bit deeper today is the windfalls that some clients or some authors, sorry, got from corporate sales and partnerships, that sort of bulk sale concept, which sounds amazing. And many people who have not sort of worked in that space would be just really lost. Well, how do I do that? So that's what we want to talk more about today. Um, so I'm going to just hand it to Linda to help explain that because this is really her world. So first of all, just tell us what a potential book sale partnership, a bulk sale, sorry, what a bulk sale partnership might look like.
Well, let's start being authors. We love our definitions.
Yes.
So let's start with a definition of it and define it clearly. So bulk sales, instead of selling one book to one person in one instance, what you're doing in bulk sales is you're selling any number of books, probably to one organization, business, buyer that gets those books then get shared with another audience. You usually do this, I'm going to say always at a reduced price. Yeah, it's not selling one book for $40. It's probably selling 100 books for $30, but there is an increased ROI even at the lower price. And just like selling to readers directly, the challenge and the uniqueness of this is not only do you have to have a really good understanding of who your ideal reader is, you also have to have a very good understanding of who your ideal distributor would be. So you're identifying another profile, another list of needs and benefits, and you're going to have to position your book to them and what kind of value is in it for them, as well as for the ultimate reader.
Mm. So why would a potential partner be interested in aligning themselves with an author? What's the benefit for them?
There's lots of them, and it depends on the goals that the author has. Certainly, I'm a firm believer, and I'll get on my platform is don't just sell the book, build the business. So this is often a door opening opportunity for you to have discussions with whether it's professional associations or whether it's networking groups or whether it's teachers, trainers. Or other experts that are aligned with you, but not directly competing with you. But it's also a very efficient way to get traction with your ideal target market. If you can find an organization or an association where there are lots of your potential readers in one place, I often use the phrase find the parade and get in front of it when it comes to marketing strategies. And that creates a win for you as an author because you're getting in front of more people. It creates a win for the ideal reader because it's coming to them from a trusted source, their association or networking group. But it's also a win for the group that's distributing the book because they're adding value to their member experience or their group person experience. And while the ROI on the book is individual book may be lower, the opportunities that it opens up for you and the ROI on the one sale is probably far greater.
No, fantastic. So selling, yeah, sometimes it's easier to sell in that situation. Sometimes it's easier to sell 1,000 books than one book if you can do that
I
successfully.
think because you stop and make it a bigger deal. And it's like because there's a lot of work that's involved, and
Yeah.
it's not an easy or a quick
Hmm.
solution, but it does have incredible potential if done right.
Yeah. So you sort of mentioned a couple of examples. Do you have any sort of specific examples you can name of books and organizations that might have partnered?
Yeah, I've, excuse me, in my consulting career, this was a standard practice.
Okay.
You would see that, consultants would write a book and then they'd parade it around to all of the conferences and exhibits and workshops and that, and they would deliver either a free workshop to be able to have books on hand to sell, or they would deliver a free workshop if the association bought 1,000 of their books. And I would see clients or consultants go in, arrange this kind of thing with a yearly international association, and give their talk for free, do even give a workshop away for free, and sell 1,200 books in one setting, and walk away with 6 months worth of consulting work. Like
Mm,
it's a great strategy for some.
yeah.
Another scenario I've seen is I was a member of a women's business networking group, and part of this group's commitment to their members was ongoing value and providing ideas and concepts. And they would buy books en masse, and members would get, I think it was 6 books a year as part of their ongoing professional development. And this group had tens of thousands of members at their peak, but certainly thousands of when this practice was in place. So again, it was value for the author to get visibility among a very targeted
Mm,
group. The association or the networking group provided value for their membership, that it was another source of professional development and a vetted one that
mm,
that they knew was going to provide value to the people. And the who I left out there, the reader themselves. It's getting and having an opportunity within the group to talk about the book. So
mm,
those are two different ones, but one I use for my own work of fiction, but to show you how different it can be. So I wrote this book quite a few years ago, but when I launched, the book is a fiction book about finding love online. But I reached out to all of the dating sites and to online dating bloggers and created, well, I wasn't selling books in the hundreds. I was certainly selling them in the dozens for a few key
mm,
distribution opportunities where people wanted to differentiate, because that's such a highly competitive landscape. So those are some different ways. But I've also seen some of the event focus. Well, it's not find one distributor and sell them a bunch of books. It does get a lot of books sold in a very short period of time through a very unique kind of book launch. I've seen it with Jamie Kern-Lama's book Worthy and Matthew McConaughey's book Green Lights, where they created with their peers this incredible event and drove lots of attention to that event, and people could attend the event all over the world for free, and it was, massively promoted, and people who attended the event got lots of value from the event, but there was always that dribbling of book promotion in there. And in 2 days, Jamie Kern-Lama was on the New York Times bestseller list with the book. It had sold out in all of the copies, and she had sold, I think, millions. And it's amazing. That kind of concentrated effort creates bulk sales. So those are a few different ways
Yeah.
that it works.
Fabulous. Yeah, I had a client a couple of years ago who was doing consulting, and he was selling bulk orders or bulk books into organizations when he went in to do consulting gigs. So that, that's a fairly, well, I won't say common, but it's definitely a very powerful strategy.
Yeah,
Years
and it's
ago,
popular, especially with thought leaders.
yes.
People who make money from their IP, who are, and it's really, it's a great tool for the nonfiction business
Yeah,
focused
great.
author.
So I guess the next question is, if somebody came to you and their book's already finished and they were to say to you, I would love to investigate bulk sales, I'm assuming that's a lot harder to do than considering it before they even start to write their book.
Yes and no. It depends on their connections, for one. What it definitely is it will take longer. And that's why I would suggest getting clear, and you and I talk about this all the time, that the best book and the best book success comes from the best planning up front and as early as possible.
Yeah.
Think about marketing when you're writing the book. It's not an afterthought. And so the process would take a little longer to do because you know in the example that I quoted about the consultant speaking at that national conference. Well, there's only one international conference a year. So, finding out when those dates are, planning for that, coming up with a good, pitch and strategy, profiling that organization, knowing what the benefits are going to be for them, and initiating the conversations, because the lead time on creating a lot of these is going to be far longer than selling one book to one individual.
Yeah, true.
So, it's not impossible. It's better to think earlier on in the process, but you also have to balance having all the things in place, because you can't just sell a concept to a conference of 50,000 people. You have to have a book in hand, you have to have a media kit, you have to have testimonials and reviews and those things. So there has to be a certain experience with the book and a certain tangibility to it before you can go ahead, and trying to find that delicate balance is
definitely.
magic.
So that really points out the importance of, in the planning stage, of thinking, well, who's going to read this book? And there'll be the immediate reader, but then if you also want to think, well, who's going to buy this book, which is a different question.
Yes.
One of the potential buyers of the book, if you think, okay, bulk sales, organizations, that has to be factored in the planning stage.
Exactly.
So that you can create a book that will eventually be interesting to them when you do have your book in print.
Exactly. And it encourages the author to think about their topic through different filters as well. But that's why it's so important to really get deep into ideal client profiling. I say you should be able to smell your reader's perfume and know what they're going to order for lunch. But really understanding where they hang out, what they do, where their information sources are, because in knowing that identifies the opportunities for these distribution outlets.
Awesome. Because I know a lot of what you do, a lot of what we do sort of overlaps, and we've done some really good things together. But those discussions around your book as part of your business are just so critical when you're going into this whole becoming an author scenario. Exactly. And sometimes people have maybe already have a book that's kind of almost almost got potential to be considered for bulk sales, and books can be updated. So,
Mm,
it's always possible to
yeah.
update a version of a book, but
And
going
far
to
faster than writing a new one.
true and really do some strategic thinking before you do the update with that sort
Mm,
of that view in mind. So, I find it very exciting. It's
yeah.
all about
And I think it's really
partnerships.
important.
Mm,
It's really important that when you're planning, your book goals, you really look at your book as a growth strategy tool because and evaluate your current growth strategies. I'm finding with a lot of authors that this is the tool that makes them look at their business differently and look further in the future or go, okay, in my perfect scenario, what kind of vision do I have for this really being a success, whether it's a book or a podcast or any other like piece of
mm,
major content that you're putting out in the world. It is a great launch pad for reflection and strategizing and creating those growth goals
mm.
and then working at accomplishing both the book goals and the growth goals at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. And I caution people to don't feel like their book has to be complicated. I mean, you can achieve incredible success with quite a simple concept that cuts through the noise and
Yeah,
is fresh. And I just started assisting people to plan what I've called short reads or shorter books.
yeah,
They can be perfect because if an organisation has got 1,000 members, and they are looking for books that are good reads, short, manageable, um, useful, it's the perfect alliance if it's the right fit. Yeah.
exactly. And I think that that's one of the things that self-publishing is facilitating, is that
Mm,
there are lots of people who they may not have a whole wealth of experience, but they're really good at one thing and modularizing that. And traditional publishing, it's a harder sell to go for a short sell book that focuses on one topic. But with the technology and the tools that we have available to us these days, everybody can embrace that, and it's a manageable
mm,
challenge to get that
mm.
out there and far faster if you're being very specific. In
Yeah.
marketing, we always say niche, 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 and writing a short book that has long impact is something that really speaks to that
Mm,
niche marketing strategy.
yeah. And one thing that's sort of easy to do as a self-publisher is, so you might set up a partnership with an organisation, and part of that um, negotiation or part of that arrangement might be that the association has got some branding on the cover of the book. So if you're a self-publisher, you just organise a version with where that happens. So you've got total control of these things, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly. It's like we're talking about the white labeling of potential. It could be white labeling, it could be shared ownership, it could be any number of options. But you have that choice when you're making all the decisions, and they're not being made for you by traditional publishing.
Yeah. So I would caution, that's not the right word. I would encourage authors to factor in the idea of bulk sales into their planning stage. Now, just could you just sort of quickly tell us, Linda, how you would work with an author, or where you could help work with them to get these ideas sorted, how people can contact you, all of the things.
Yeah. Well, I'm on all of the socials and we'll have the links in
Yeah.
there. And the website is growthgarden.au. How I would work with an author is I would have a deep discovery call to really identify what the goals are. I'm really good at asking lots of telling questions and looking at ideas and goals from various different viewpoints. So first of all, getting really clear on what the book is about and making sure that they've got clarity on that. And if they don't, send them to you because you're fantastic at really taking authors through that process. But if they've got that, it's like, okay, what are the goals for the book? What are the goals that you have for your business? Where do the two intersect? What are the tools and paths that we could work with? And then say, okay, if this is a strategy that we want to implement together, then I can guide you in that strategy. If there are tools that need to be created to enact that strategy, whether it's a media kit or doing a book trailer or getting a really designing a landing page that's developed for a very specific purpose, that alliance that they're considering. Those are all things that I can work with. I've got a number of authors who are on a a monthly plan with me where we set goals in the initial stages, but we revisit those goals every month, move that, just like in writing, moving the cursor forward to the right, is moving that progress forward and developing the strategies, implementing them, getting feedback on them, refining where it needs to happen, and tracking the metrics to make sure that you can define that that you created these, that you met these goals and you created the success that you set out to in the first place.
Fantastic. Because with books, there's a book plan is the plan of the contents of the book, but then there's a book proposal, which I see that as a business proposal, and it's exactly what you need, isn't it? When you go into any organization,
Yep.
you need some shape or form of something that is basically a business proposal, because you're saying, hey, if we work together and we do this together, you can benefit, I'll benefit, the readers will benefit. So that's
Because it's
really,
the proof that you've thought through your
yes.
idea and that you're more committed. It's proof that you're committed to the outcome and that you know what you're talking about,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
really is getting that credibility and validation.
yeah,
But I want to mention too that in working with authors, I have DIY packages, done with you and done for you packages, depending upon what their needs are, that we discover in the phase of discovery.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there is something that works for just
yes,
about everyone.
yeah. And in this sort of bulk partnership idea, I think there's many authors, particularly the self-publishing. Many of them are maybe solo business owners. Not all of them have had sort of corporate background, but what organisations and corporate partnerships, the people within those do have more of a corporate way of thinking.
Mm.
So I think the service that you offer kind of helps bring maybe the solo business owner into the corporate world in a comfortable way, in a way
Yeah,
where he'll be taken seriously, or they'll be
yeah,
taken seriously.
exactly. And because there are certain nuances, there are certain even words or positioning, but taking them through a trusted process, and that is goal setting, profiling your client, identifying the key benefits, the why you, creating your validity, and then having an offer or a pitch that is of interest
Yeah,
to your potential targets. Because I know that we see this all the time, Bev, that the expectations of book sales and the reality are often very, very different.
yeah,
And anything that an author can use to further maximize the ROI on the time, effort, resources,
yeah,
and blood, sweat, and tears that it's taken to create these books in the first place
yeah.
are certainly worth considering.
Definitely. And that just going back to sort of closing on that point, the return on investment of a business book that you and I both stress for people is not necessarily the book sales, but all of the other growth elements that can happen because of the book. And
I would say that it's rarely the book sales.
yeah,
It is the doors, the opportunities, the difference in mindset that you have as a result of that. I've seen authors kind of go, yeah, I know my stuff because look what I do. And that's just given them the confidence to then take themselves into a whole new world and a new way of operating,
yeah,
and identifying those potential goals and opportunities from the first place gives you motivation to get through the process of
mhm,
writing.
yeah, it's all very exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, thank you so much for your time today, and I'll put our contact details on the bottom. My website is smartwomenpublish.com. Linda's is growthgarden.au. And thanks for coming on. And
Well, thanks
I'm
so
sure
much for having me. It's a great
we'll talk
discussion.
again.
And yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, Bev.
Yeah, you're welcome.